because that's how they got to be billion-dollar insurance companies. If you've been injured, I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7969.
WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21 12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp sitting in the big boy chair for our guy, Hunt Palmer. All right, guys, day 2 of the Hunt Palmer impersonation. It has been a while before this since I filled in on this show. How did we do?
That was a good one.
Yeah, I'll give that one.
Was it better than yesterday?
Yeah, that was a good one.
I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
What did they say? If you're 1% better every day, at some point you're going to. It's going to be perfection. I don't know if that's actually the rest of that saying, but it is.
I don't think so, but it's close enough.
Yeah, it sounds good. That when you hear that, you're like, wait a minute, and that guy knows what he's talking about. Totally made that up. But look, we're gonna roll with it. Again, Taylor Sharp here with you, sitting in for a vacationing Mr. Hunt Palmer. Hunt is either one of two places. He is sitting on the beach reading something about baseball, he's sitting on the beach reading something about golf, or he is currently on a golf course. That's probably the extent of Hunt's beach vacation. I kind of just laid out his entire plans for the entirety of the week. Might be listening to his favorite Chicago Cubs podcast. Don't know. That's a big one in the Palmer household, I am sure. But look, we are obviously going to be draft heavy today, as the entire week, is the 2025 NFL draft coming up this Thursday at 7 p.m. Also, we got word yesterday afternoon. The entire 104.5 ESPN crew, for the most part, will be at Don Juan on Thursday afternoon, starting at 7 o'clock to kick that thing off at Don Juan Cigar Bar. Come on out, hang out with us. If you can't get to our YouTube channel, we will have the whole thing live streamed. Cassie's going to co-host a little bit of it if she happens to make it out there. I will not be there. I will be at a rehearsal dinner, which is unfortunate because there's nothing I would rather do on a Thursday night than have T-Bob yell at me a little bit more when he throws back a few. That seemed like it was going to be the highlight of my week. Unfortunately, I will not be there. But everybody head out to Don Juan Cigar Bar on Thursday evening. All right, look, obviously NFL draft. We're going to talk some LSU baseball. They got a midweek game coming up tonight against Northwestern State. We are going to talk a little bit of LSU and then Hunt's normal Tuesday guest. We got Glenn West coming up at 1:30 and then Sharief Ishaq at 2:30. So we are jam-packed today on this Tuesday. Let's get this show started like we do every day with the Genesis Opening Drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Okay, so I mentioned it yesterday. I want to kind of go back to it. The report came out from Adam Schefter that the Saints have made calls about trading up into the second round to get a quarterback, presumably one Jackson Dart. Obviously, the Saints have the 9th pick in the first round as of right now. If they want to trade back up into the second round, or possibly late in the first, which we'll get into, to grab Jackson Dart, they're obviously not going to take a quarterback at 9 overall. Where would they go? Look, we've said here for months now. I've said it. T-Bob said it. Jake said it. I'm sure Hunt, Matt, whoever has mentioned playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. I would be good with that. Look, we've talked Teteroa McMillan. We've talked Tyler Warren. Some people have even brought up Ashton Genty, that if he falls to 9, he's that special of a player to where you can't pass up on him. Well, CBS Sports put out 2 different mock drafts yesterday. One by Jonathan Jones, the other by Ryan Wilson. Both work for CBS Sports, and both of them had the Saints taking Texas left tackle Kelvin Banks at 9 overall. Interesting that both of them had that also. You go look at all the betting odds. Kelvin Banks, not necessarily the favorite, but his odds have improved drastically to go number 9 overall to the New Orleans Saints. Now, you're going to sit there and your knee-jerk reaction is going to be, we can't do this again. Offensive line, defensive line. Like, I don't want it. I want an impact player. And I totally understand that. And look, you can feel a certain way about Kelvin Banks. That's fine. Take the name out of it. You still do need help on the offensive line. And if you're devoting, potentially trading away picks to come back up and grab your quarterback of the future in Jackson Dart, then you might as well protect it. So if you take Kelvin Banks at 9, look, he was a really good player in college. You go look at PFF, they have it broken down by what he had done. His overall grade in 2024 was 86.2. That's not bad. He's played a lot of football over his 3 years in Austin. 2023, 13 games. 2022, 14 games. 2024, 15 games. I mean, he's essentially a lot like a Will Campbell the day he stepped foot on campus, has been your starting left tackle, and he's been really solid at it. Speaking of playing left tackle a lot, they break down snaps by alignment. So how many snaps he has taken at a certain position on the offensive line. 2022, 857 snaps at left tackle, no snaps anywhere else. 2023, 983 snaps at left tackle, no snaps anywhere else. 2024, over 930 snaps at left tackle, and guess what? You guessed it, no other snaps anywhere else. So, if you draft a Kelvin Banks, let's say both of these guys from CBS Sports are correct, and you draft Kelvin Banks or someone that is strictly a left tackle at 9 overall. I'm kind of okay with it. Yes, Taliesin Fuaga is your current left tackle. I thought he was pretty good as a rookie. I sat up here last year and said I would like Taliesin Fuaga to be the pick, but the reason I said that was because of his versatility. We saw him a lot at right tackle in college at Oregon State. You saw him play a lot of guard. I believed he had the ability to play left tackle. Saints obviously believed that as well. He went in there and he did a good job at left tackle as a rookie. But what did you hear about Fuaga coming out of college? He can play both sides. His more natural spot might be at that right tackle position. You still have Trevor Penning at right tackle that Saints fans are not thrilled about. And I get it. Penning certainly improved last year. But how much does that say? I mean, he's improved over the lost cause that you thought he was when he was at left tackle, left guard. You really couldn't put him in the lineup. He was below average last year, right tackle. He was not anywhere near the level you would feel comfortable rolling out that offensive line under a young quarterback, whether it's Spencer Rattler in his first full season starting or a rookie like a Jackson Dart if you do decide to draft him. If you draft Banks, would you move Fuaga to right tackle? If you do that, Fuaga and Kelvin Banks are going to be your left tackles. You obviously are going to have Cesar Ruiz. I don't think you can replace him this year. You're going to have to piece it together, but then you have Eric McCoy at center. I mean, that's 3 to 4 solid pieces. I mean, I get it. Cesar Ruiz has not been great. He's been a below average starter. He's been a liability at times. It's probably what you're going to work with on the inside. But you can at least shore up the tackle spots. I wouldn't hate the pick. It's not what I would have originally thought, but there's a lot of people right now saying, hey, Saints value O-line, D-line at the top of this draft. They want to get a quarterback later. Speaking of getting a quarterback later, I mentioned that Adam Schefter put it out. We have a write-up at LouisianaSports.net about the Saints' interest in trading back up into the second round. You're already at 40, but what happens if the Giants want a quarterback in the second round? The Raiders want a quarterback in the second round. Pittsburgh's sitting there at 21. They need a quarterback in the first round. So you can say, okay, well, you're already at 40 overall. That's the 7th pick of the second round. How much higher can you move up? It's not about how much higher can you move up. It's the teams you would have to jump in order to get the guy that you want. I personally believe Shedeur Sanders is going to fall in this draft. I think it's very apparent now that the Saints are not going to take him 9th overall. It does not appear to be the case. I don't think the Giants are taking him. I don't think the Raiders are going to draft a quarterback, at least not that high. They might take a quarterback at their second round pick, which is another team the Saints would have to jump. They're not going to take a quarterback at 6 overall with the potential weapons that are there after you signed Geno Smith and gave him an extension. So let's say the Saints do want Jackson Dart. Well, Ross Jackson put this up on LouisianaSports.net, a nice write-up. He has the Saints actually trading up all the way to 32, so the very last pick in the first round, to, of course, the Philadelphia Eagles, who we know the Saints love to trade with. He has the Saints sending the number 40 overall pick So the Saints' second-round pick, 131, one of your fourth-round picks, and your 2026 second-round pick to the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for 32nd overall and 134. So you still get a fourth-rounder back. It's just a few spots back. I think you maybe make that trade. I mean, I was in the boat of keep your draft picks. You have a ton of them. Make as many picks as you can. I totally get that. Okay? Look, let's say Shador falls to 21. I think there's a chance that happens. And let's say Pittsburgh takes Shador Sanders at 21. You look at the rest of the first round, not a ton of guys or teams in the first round necessarily need a quarterback, but look at your second round. You're still going to have the Browns there at 33. You're going to have the Giants there above you in the second round. The Raiders pick above you in the second round. All of those teams, they may not value a Sanders in the top 5, but they're still probably looking for a quarterback. If you have a fear that one of those teams could potentially grab a Jackson Dart, you may have to move over. And I'm okay with this because, okay, you give up 40 overall, but you get a first rounder in exchange. So you win that. You give up 141, one of your 2 fourth-round picks, but you get 134 back. So you essentially lost 3 spots in the fourth round. I'm okay with that. The fourth round's a wash. 131 to 134 to me is a wash. You win 40 to 32. Essentially, you have a chance to trade back up into the first round under this scenario, and really, you only lose a 2026 second-round pick. Because you're giving up 2 picks, but you're getting back 2 in this draft. There's been a lot of people that said, keep all your picks. You don't really lose any, at least in this draft, and you're giving up a 2026 second-round pick. Now, again, this comes from Ross Jackson. This is just a scenario that he threw out there. I think that would be a home run. I personally think you have to give up a little bit more. I personally think the Saints may have to trade up a little bit higher to get a Jackson Dart. But if that's the scenario, Dart's there at 32, you can make that. You give up 40, 131, and your 2026 second-round pick, and in return, you get another first-round pick from Philadelphia and 134 overall. I think you make that all day long. Because, again, you're not losing anything in this draft, and in the first round, you now have, if it's Kelvin Banks, your starting left tackle, and possibly who you believe to be your quarterback of the future. Whatever your thoughts were the last couple weeks or so of what you want the Saints to do in this draft, I get it. They need a pass catcher. For what it's worth, in this mock draft that Ross wrote up, he has the Saints taking Tyler Warren 9th overall. So maybe they do get a pass catcher in the first round. Everyone talks about a receiver on the outside. Look, if you stay put at 40 overall, all the quarterbacks you're in love with are gone, and Jaden Higgins is there, I'm all for taking Jaden Higgins. I think he's been really good in college. He's kind of one of those underrated guys. A lot of people have mentioned Teteroa McMillan. Oh, well, he's 6'4", he's 215 pounds. You got to grab a guy like that. You don't have a guy like that on your roster. Yeah, guess what? Jaden Higgins, 6'4", 215 pounds. He's likely going to be there in the second round. I'm okay with that. But if you are absolutely certain that Jackson Dart is the quarterback of the future, I'm okay with making this move. But let's say you have to trade up a little bit higher. What if you gave up second round pick? You still wanted to move up a little higher. Again, I think Shador is going to be there at 21. But what if he's not? What if a team like a Colts, who I don't think is going to take him? I mean, the Colts have Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones, which first off, imagine being a Colts fan and having to figure out which one of those awesome quarterbacks is going to win that battle. That's a depressing thought. I don't think they're going to take a quarterback because you have Richardson, who's still young, who you invested a lot in. You spent a top 10 pick on him, and you brought in Daniel Jones as a veteran to battle for that quarterback spot. I don't think you're going to draft a quarterback, at least not a guy that you think is going to come in and start this year. So while I think they do need one, because I've already given up on Anthony Richardson, I hated the pick when they made it. I don't think they're going to do that quite yet. And where else? I mean, 12, the Cowboys, they're not taking a quarterback. Arizona could at 16. I don't think they will. But what if somebody trades up ahead of Pittsburgh, grabs Shador Sanders? Steelers could potentially steal Jackson Dart from him at 21. So let's say the Saints are dead set on drafting Jackson Dart. They don't quite want to do it at number 9, but they'll do whatever they can to get back up into the first round. Who's at 20 overall? You may have to jump in front of Pittsburgh, who's at 21. 20 overall is the Denver Broncos. I was not in those rooms. I don't know what the relationship is, but I do know something. Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton certainly have a relationship. Sean Payton has brought in a lot of former Saints players who were with him in New Orleans to Denver. Would they be willing to make some sort of a deal? Especially if a lot of running backs are on the board. And I think there will be. It's a pretty deep running back class. What if you gave up your second rounder this year, your second rounder next year, and threw in one of your 2 fourth-round picks to get 20 overall? Might do that as well. You have another fourth-round pick already. You're giving up that 2026 second-round pick, like Ross mentioned. You're going up to 20 overall to get what you believe to be the quarterback of the future in Jackson Dart. Denver's not going to take a quarterback. The biggest needs are tight end and running back. Those are popular picks as far as what's been mocked to them. Some people have mocked Colston Loveland from Michigan. A lot of people have mocked Amarian Hampton out of UNC. Again, both of those are deep positions at 40 overall. A Mason Taylor could be there. There's going to be a ton of running backs available at 40 overall. Would Denver make that move? I think that's wishful thinking. I'm just throwing this scenario out there. I don't know if the Saints could trade up quite that high. But if they got desperate enough, Shador's already off the board, they're worried about Pittsburgh at 21, they may at least make that call. Look, it's going to be something to watch. We know a few things. From all the insiders and all the so-called draft experts, it doesn't look like they're taking Shador at number 9, and it looks like they really like Jackson Dart, and they'd be willing to move up and make a move. Whether you're for that, whether you're against that, that's kind of what's being laid out in front of us right now. Now, we'll have to wait and see on Thursday night if that comes to fruition, but that's kind of the rumblings that you're hearing right now, whether, it doesn't really matter. Schefter, this morning on OTB, we had Nick Underhill on. Ross Jackson with us, he has it. 2 guys at CBS Sports that I just mentioned, their mock drafts, they have it as well. It kind of seems to be the consensus right now that the Saints are not taking Shador at 9, and they really like Dart, and they could trade back up. We'll see if they do that, where they trade back up, what they have to give up to do it, but it certainly seems like that is a possibility for the Saints here in the 2025 NFL Draft. All right, we're going to take a timeout. When we get back, we're going to have a little quick LSU baseball segment. They have a midweek matchup coming up with Northwestern State tonight. We'll break it all down next here on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. They're the only fully exclusive Genesis dealer in the state of Louisiana, and they're right here in Baton Rouge. I told y'all earlier this week, we were driving, my wife goes, "Oh, that's that car I really like. It's a Genesis." And she had no idea that I even do this. I was like, yeah, they're really nice. They're really, really nice. And you should know it too. You don't see a ton of Genesis on the road because it's fairly new to our city here. They've only been at that location for a year and a half, but go check it out. It's a luxury vehicle. It's a luxury experience to be a Genesis driver. That means 3 years of complimentary maintenance, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. It's a luxury experience at a reasonable price over at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every single car that's on the lot at Genesis of Baton Rouge is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. And all of them, every single model, from the entry level to the highest end, come with the same safety features. Safety is a priority for Genesis. Go check them out. Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. That's Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Ford is taking 15 to 20% off all new 2024 models in stock. 15 to 20% off all new 2024 Ford models on our lot. Plus the complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold Refreshment.
Dave's back on.
Coors Light. Choose chill.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Welcome back in. Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp sitting in the host chair, filling in for a vacationing Hunt Palmer. I will be here today, tomorrow, possibly Thursday, and I will be out on Friday. We don't know about Thursday yet. We might switch it up on you guys on Thursday, but Matthew Musso will be in on Friday. Okay, I teased it there a little bit going into break. LSU will take on Northwestern State tonight for their midweek matchup. This is an unranked Demons team, and you can look at it and say, okay, well, your typical midweek game. Look, LSU had a tough midweek opponent last week in McNeese State. Is Northwestern State on the level as McNeese? No, they're not quite as good as McNeese, but they're a quality in-state midweek opponent. They're 24-17 on the season. They're 15-9 in Southland Conference play. They're coming off of a 2-1 series victory over Lamar. And they got some solid hitters in their lineup. Their best hitter, you're going to love this name. I do. Rocco Gump leads the way for them. 331 average, 8 doubles on the year, leads the team with 37 RBIs. Reese Lapoma, another guy for the Demons. He's batting over 300 as well. Daniel Burroway, you go to their stats on their page, and you look at a guy like Daniel Burroway, and you're like, Taylor, why are you mentioning Daniel Burroway? He's only batting 248. It's one of the lowest averages in their lineup. Yo, he has 11 home runs this year. He leads the team. Their pitching staff, not bad either. I mean, they're a 477 average right now. And, you know, that's not great. It's not what McNeese was last week when they were at like a 297. But look, 477, not terrible. And then I wanted to mention, like, what they bat as a team. Again, you have a 268 average as a team. So you're an average to below average hitting team. We're still solid. Rocco Gump, 331. Reese Lapoma, who I just mentioned, 308. Hudson Brignac, 299. Samuel Stevenson, 283. Braden Benton, 279. So you got a bunch of guys that aren't quite at 300, but they're hovering right in there. You have some quality bats. Stevenson, 31 RBIs. Got another guy with 25, 23, 18. They don't have one dominant player, but they got a couple guys in the lineup that can give you some problems. This is the type of team that you should handle them. You're a lot better on paper. You've performed a lot better so far this season. Northwestern State, they're going to be fired up for this game, playing up against LSU. If you let this team hang around, they could pose some problems for you. Now, am I saying, oh, man, LSU better watch out? Like, first off, watch out in every game. I'm not saying I'm predicting an upset or anything, because I'm obviously not, although it could happen. But it's one of those teams where if you let them hang around, things could get a little hairy for you. You might have to do some things you weren't normally going to do in a midweek game. As far as what to watch, look, the starting lineup has not been posted yet. I'm just assuming this based on what we've seen in previous midweeks. I want William Schmidt to get extended if he's the starter. And I mean really extended. I asked for this last week. I said, hey, can we get 3 or 4 innings out of William Schmidt? He went 3 1/3 last week against McNeese. Great. But on Saturday, in Game 3 against Alabama, LSU fans learned you no longer have a number 3 starter on the weekend. You don't know who that's going to be. It's not going to be Chase Shores. He has been pulled. I doubt they reinsert him there. You started Connor Ware in Game 3. He only went 2 innings for you. You got to find somebody. And really, you got to have 4 arms if you want to compete in Omaha. Who can be that number 3 starter? Now, up until last week, I would have said, hey, William Schmidt, that's a solid choice. He's been good for you. Been a solid pitcher pretty much every time out. He struggled this weekend, guys. He struggled in a big way. I mean, he didn't even last a full inning in his matchup against Alabama. He had control issues. It was not the William Schmidt that we had been used to seeing. It tells me a few things. Yeah, okay, William Schmidt in the Saturday game, the one where you threw like 9 pitchers. Here's William Schmidt's stat line. 2/3 of an inning, 2 runs, both of them earned, 3 walks, no strikeouts. I mean, he had control issues. He's obviously not ready to be that number 3 starter. Can you maybe mold him into there? We have Tennessee this weekend. You have Texas A&M the weekend after that. You're not going to throw a freshman in there to be a weekend starter in either of those series. Can you bring him along slowly? 1, I want to see how he bounces back from probably his worst outing of the year. 2, you got to find a day 3 starter. I'm not even saying it has to be William Schmidt. I'm just looking at him because he's kind of been your midweek starter. Can you help him make that transition? He's a guy that is at least used to starting. I also want to see this bullpen continue to improve. You got swept by Auburn a couple weeks ago, but you threw 8 bullpen arms against Auburn and only gave up a total of 2 runs. Last week, outside of Schmidt, outside of a handful of guys, like overall, your bullpen was pretty solid. You have a chance to work on some things. I think LSU batting with runners in scoring position this year, you have left a lot to be desired. You'll have 14 runners on base against Alabama in the Saturday game alone. Games 1 and 2 were not much better. You've done that a lot this year. Against SEC competition, leaving all those runners on base is what loses games for you. You saw it in Game 3 against Alabama. It would have been huge to sweep that series. Now, I heard a lot of people say, okay, well, the Alabama game, that was a must sweep. I don't think it was a must sweep. I don't think we're there quite yet, but a sweep would have really been nice after getting swept by Auburn. Can Schmidt extend and have a bounce-back performance? Can your bullpen continue to improve? And what can you do at the plate? Look, Jared Jones had a big home run against Alabama. He was 2 for 11 on the weekend. Some of those guys are going to need bounce-back performances. And when you get runners in scoring position, you have to capitalize. At least sometimes. I'm not telling you you have to be perfect. I'm not saying if there are 14 runners on base, you should knock all 14 of them in. Can you get half of them in? Can you leave 6 guys, 7 guys on base, not 14? And that would help in a big way. You get 3 or 4 of those guys in against Alabama on Saturday, you win that series and you sweep. You're sitting here in a lot better position. Yes, you bounce back. You won the series against Alabama. You're still 2-4 in your last 6 SEC games. Now, so was Tennessee. They're coming in this weekend. They're also 2-4 in their last 6 SEC games. But you would have felt a lot better after getting swept, getting a sweep. But there's things you still need to work on. Northwestern, again, they're not the quality of a McNeese, but they are a decent quality in-state midweek opponent that can present enough of a challenge to where you're not just going through the motions, but also gives you a chance to work on some things that you need to fix for the weekend series. It'll be interesting to watch. Be excited to see how LSU responds, what they look like. Maybe can they kind of work out some things as they head into a big-time series this weekend against Tennessee. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, Glenn West of Go247 is going to hop on for his normal time slot. We're going to talk a lot of LSU baseball. We may get into some transfer portal as well. That's coming up on the other side here on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Property and casualty or group employee benefits. Your one-stop shop for all things insurance is, of course, the Highland Insurance Group. If you're a business owner and you don't have a great relationship with your insurance broker, they're just the guy who came with the lowest premium number, that's one way to handle it, but it might not be the best way, especially when something happens. Whether it's a hurricane or a car accident or a cyber breach or a lawsuit or an injury, when that happens, you're going to need your insurance to respond. And if you only have the insurance in place because it was the cheapest one, it may not. Jonathan Carver and his team can be a trusted advisor and a part of your team as a business to make sure that your business continues to run even if the event happens. Give them a call or check them out online, HighlandIG.com. They're right here in Baton Rouge, but they can help you out statewide. It's Jonathan Carver and his team at the Highland Insurance Group. They're online at HighlandIG.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Welcome in Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp sitting in for a vacationing Mr. Hunt Palmer. Right now, I want to bring on Glenn West of Go247. He joins Hunt every week at this time. Glenn, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Taylor. Thanks for having me on. How are you?
Doing good, man. Thanks for hopping on despite Hunt being out. Glenn, last segment, I kind of did a quick preview of LSU in their midweek game tonight against Northwestern State. They obviously have the big-time series this weekend against Tennessee. I kind of want to get your thoughts on the bullpen the last few weeks because it was a big talking point coming into the season. And then when you started the season, that was kind of your biggest Achilles heel, right? But the last 2 weeks in SEC play, they've actually been pretty good. I mean, what have you seen from the bullpen the last few weeks?
Yeah, I think you can make an argument the last couple weeks that LSU's been in these games for the most part because of their bullpen and because they've been able to kind of not let some of these games where the offense has struggled on the other side, those deficits really balloon out of hand and get out of hand for them. So I think look. The two guys that have been just lights out for you all season long, that hasn't changed. Case and Evans, Zach Cowan, those are guys you can just stick into the middle of a game and know that they're going to get 3, 4, 5 innings, whatever it takes to get you to the end of one of these closer games. And so I think what you've really tried to see or hoped to see over these last couple weeks is who else can kind of step up in that bullpen role? Who else can kind of maybe assert themselves as consistent pieces for this bullpen and maybe allow LSU some more flexibility for what they want to do going forward? And I think there are a couple names that come to mind. I think Connor Ware. I know he got the start this last Saturday, but before that, he had been a pretty consistent bullpen piece, I think, for you for the most part. Connor Benj is a guy that they have a lot of trust in to throw into some high leverage situations to get big timeouts a couple times a weekend. They'll go to him. I think Maverick Rizzi is a guy that LSU would really love to see come along and be consistent for him. Cooper Williams is another one, another freshman, left-handed guy. He's thrown 11 innings this year and still hasn't given up an earned run, Cooper Williams. So he's somebody that I think LSU would love to lean on in some of those high leverage situations as well. So, we're seeing a little bit of an increase in terms of the consistency out of the bullpen, but rarely this year have we seen this team click on all cylinders where it's offense, defense, starting pitching, bullpen, all coming together at once and having a big time weekend. I think that needs to start against Tennessee here if they want to get out of Alex Box with 2 wins this weekend. So I'll be very curious to see what they're able to do in all those respects, but certainly the bullpen being able to carry over its momentum the last couple weeks will be very, very much needed to get out of this series with a win.
I'm glad you brought up Chase Shores and Connor Ware getting that start. That was kind of the talk of the weekend, right? On Game 3, it was no longer Chase Shores. A lot of people thought, hey, when could that move potentially happen? It was Connor Ware only for 2 innings. You bring in Shores. He wasn't great in relief either. Who could potentially be that long-term answer as far as a Game 3 starter for LSU?
Yeah, look, they opened up Pandora's box this last Saturday with that decision, and I think all options are on the table. I think for LSU, they are not going to put themselves into this guy has to start for us over the next 4 weeks or else. It's going to be, I think, pretty varied and pretty matchup based. That doesn't mean that I don't think Shores is not going to start again this season. I would imagine that he does, but I think now, if you're able to get some consistency out of the bullpen, which I think your first question is kind of alluding to here, if enough guys can maybe step up for you in the bullpen and you're able to save a Zach Cowan for that final game, I think he's the guy that you're looking at as a potential starter for this team over the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks. He's going to probably get a start in one of those games, I would imagine, before the start of the SEC tournament and postseason play. He's just been too good for you for so long now, and I know how valuable his role is for LSU out of the bullpen and what he's able to do. But if LSU is able to theoretically get themselves in a position where they can split the first 2 games or maybe win the first 2 games without having to burn Cowan, I think he's a guy that makes just all the sense in the world to potentially get a start for LSU over the course of the next month. So he's been your most dialed-in pitcher. I think he's been your most valuable pitcher to this point, and I think he's deserving of a start. Whether that comes this weekend or next weekend or 2 weeks down the line, I couldn't tell you that, but I think now that they've opened up that potential for another guy to slide in there in that Saturday starting role, anything's on the table, and I think you have to look at Zach Cowan as a major factor there.
Glenn, want to shift to the offensive side of things here real quick. Last week, they played McNeese in the midweek. Daniel Dickinson was leading off. It was a little bit different look in that lineup. Now, the first 2 games against Alabama, it was Derek Curiel like we had seen all year long. Game 3, they went back to Daniel Dickinson. Is that strictly like a matchup-based thing they're testing out, or is that something we could potentially see moving forward?
Yeah, look, I think there's probably some credence to that. I think probably what LSU and typically in Jay Johnson's career, what he's liked to do, he's liked to split up the lefty righty bats as much as possible. And I think he was just kind of trying out some different things last weekend. And look, Dickinson has been one of your most consistent on base percentage guys in conference play. Not saying that Curiel isn't, because Curiel's gotten on base for 41 or 2 straight games now. It's been ridiculous how consistent he is at the plate. But I think the way that Chris Stanfield is batting in that 9th hole and the consistency with which Dickinson is getting on base, LSU sees an opportunity there for Curiel to maybe be a guy that can bat in and drive in some more runs out of that 2-hole spot. And, Dickinson certainly can do that as well. But I really think that they wanted to just try to explore, what can potentially happen there when you've got, not only the top of the order, but the bottom of the order, really kind of aligning and being consistent 1 through 9. And I think they've done a really nice job of, kind of figuring that stuff out. And they're going to continue to tweak with this thing. Like, I think there's going to be days where, Curiel will be in that leadoff spot and Jared Jones will be at batting number 2 again. I mean, like, there's going to be so much, I think, offensively that they have to continue to experiment with. The one thing I will say is that I wouldn't take Jake Brown out of the starting lineup anytime soon. I think he's just been too good for LSU here over the last couple of weeks, whether it's starting or as a pinch hitter. But that also, LSU, when they've been at their best this year, has been when they've been kind of making those right calls in terms of who to pinch hit where. So that would take away one less spot from a potential pinch hit option. So I think there's a lot of things that they're going to have to tinker with over the next couple weeks. Nothing is set in stone. But offensively, I think, just to answer your question directly, I think the opportunity for Curiel to drive in more runs from that 2-hole is why maybe you saw Dickinson in that leadoff spot and could continue to see some fluctuation there at the top of the order.
As far as Cade Arrambide, I mean, for a while, it looked like Luis Hernandez was having to catch pretty much every game, but we've seen a lot more of Arrambide than we had to start the year. What have you kind of seen from him improvement-wise?
Yeah, I think probably LSU was hoping that he would come along defensively a little bit, and I think that's why you're seeing them have a little bit more confidence in him. You haven't seen as many drop balls. You haven't seen as many get to the backstop. They still happen, and of course they happen with Hernandez as well. And I think they want to get different looks out there. Arrambide's offensive upside, I think, is really, really high as you look forward to the long term of what he could potentially be. And the only way to get him some of those reps and kind of go through those growing pains is to get him out there for some of these high leverage SEC games. These opportunities right now are just invaluable for Cade Arrambide to be the kind of player LSU wants him to be, not only towards the end of this year, but also next year and the year after that. So I think it's good that they have another option there that's kind of developing and getting some consistent reps there. But at the end of the day, I do think Hernandez is still going to be the guy that starts the majority of your SEC games, and you slip Arrambide in there maybe once, twice a week just to continue to get him reps and get him the valuable playing experience it's going to take for him to be the player that LSU hopes he can be down the line.
Glenn, before we get you out of here, biggest thing you're watching tonight?
Yeah, I think I'm going to keep it boring. Certainly the bullpen arms is going to be a heavy bullpen game for LSU tonight. You're probably going to start with William Schmidt. You're going to go with a number of your bullpen arms that you're going to try to lean on in high leverage situations. And so, offensively, I don't think LSU is going to have a problem with the midweek arms of Northwestern State, but I do think that they are going to have to do a really good job of commanding the strike zone out of the bullpen and using a lot of those guys and getting them some reps, just getting them the feel for this weekend and what's to come. So they've got a great offense coming in here against Tennessee over the next several days, but getting those bullpen arms some work right now, I think, is probably the best interest of the team and where they could potentially go in terms of what that rotation looks like and out of the bullpen this weekend. I think they can start to learn some things about how they want to set that up this weekend.
Glenn West, Go 247. Glenn, thanks for hopping on with us today.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. That was Glenn West there of Go 247 talking a little Tigers baseball. LSU will take on the Northwestern State Demons tonight at 6:30 as they inch closer to that big-time matchup coming up this weekend against the Tennessee Volunteers at Alex Box Stadium. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. We get back. We're closing out hour number 1. That's coming up next here on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Ford is taking 15 to 20% off all new 2024 models in stock. 15 to 20% off all new 2024 Ford models on our lot. Plus the complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the 2025 Jeep Compass Sport for only $23,995. $23,995 or 2025 Jeep Compass with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Welcome back in. Final segment, hour number 1, a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp here with you, sitting in for Hunt Palmer. A little bit of LSU track/football news right before we get out of here at that top of the hour break. LSU wide receiver and track star Jelani Watkins clocked a 10.03 second 100-meter time on Saturday. This was at the Tom Jones Invitational. 6th fastest win legal time in program history. He is one spot behind a name that you will recognize for also being a two-sport athlete, Trendon Holiday, who is 5th with a 10 flat back in 2009. Look, we saw Jelani Watkins. His name's popped up a few times already this offseason for what he's been able to do on the track. My question is, can he make an impact on the football field? This was a guy that was a 4-star recruit out of the state of Texas. I was excited when LSU got him because, well, I followed him through track and field, and I knew what kind of speed the guy had. He didn't play last year. He took the red shirt because he was undersized. Look, currently on LSU's roster, Jelani Watkins listed at 5'9", 163 pounds. He is obviously blazing fast. But it's weird that all of this kind of came together in one offseason. It's kind of a LSU got healthier, and they did a good job in the transfer portal. You have Jelani Watkins. Barry Brown, who was mentioned on a list a few weeks ago of possibly being the fastest player in college football. I'm not even sure he's the fastest player at LSU with Jelani Watkins on the team. Xavier Thomas, he was a returner and receiver for you last year. We know what kind of speed he has. Chris Hilton. Everyone was waiting for Chris Hilton to get healthy because you know what kind of speed he has. You know that he could be that deep threat receiver. Look at what him and Garrett Nussmeier did together the last 3 games of the year when Chris Hilton Jr. was finally fully healthy. He was a completely different quarterback with Chris Hilton in there because it opened up everything in the offense. When you have that deep threat, it opens up everything else underneath. Don't forget about Aaron Anderson. I mean, yes, Aaron Anderson lines up in the slot. He runs a lot of those short routes. Aaron Anderson's a burner as well. Watkins, Brown, Thomas, Anderson, Hilton. You have an embarrassment of riches as far as these speedsters at wide receiver. When last year, you were really kind of looking for that deep threat. Now, a lot of people wanted it to be Aaron Anderson and Xavier Thomas. They had to play a lot in the slot. You were looking for that speedster out wide. Chris Hilton ultimately stepped up and became that guy. But this year, I mean, you kind of have your pick. And let's not forget Kyle Parker. Kyle Parker's not known as a quote-unquote burner, but the guy's got speed. And look, LSU fans were waiting week after week, the first 3 weeks of the season, for Garrett Nussmeier to finally hit one of those deep balls. What happened when he played UCLA? He threw what, in my opinion, is one of the top 3 passes he had all season long. Dropped it in the bucket down the right sideline for a touchdown. That was to Kyle Parker in that UCLA game. It was kind of the first really deep touchdown pass Garrett hit this past season. He got hurt in that game. Didn't see a ton of him the rest of the year. Kyle Parker's trying to work his way back from injury. If he gets fully healthy, could he contribute here? Whether it's Watkins, Brown, Xavier Thomas, Chris Hilton, Aaron Anderson, Kyle Parker, I think you're going to be a lot better at wide receiver in terms of being able to stretch the field. Look, whether it was Lacey, CJ Daniels, Mason Taylor, and all those guys were really, really good receivers. They weren't the quote-unquote burners, the guy you were going to throw that deep threat to. That's why it was so big when you got Chris Hilton back. Now you can say, okay, well, Aaron Anderson and Xavier Thomas, they're going to play a lot more in the slot like they did last year. Maybe, but honestly, I think you're a lot deeper this year than you were a year ago. Maybe you don't need those guys in there. Maybe those guys are going to run a lot more deep routes. You have a Nick Anderson coming in who's 6'5". He can be a matchup nightmare anywhere. The tight end position, which I love to talk about, Bauer Sharp and Trey'Dez Green, that dynamic duo. Can they be on the field at the same time? Would you put Trey'Dez Green lining up more out wide? That changes where everybody lines up. You have versatility on this roster. You have a lot of speed on this roster. That's only going to help Garrett Nussmeier. All offseason long, we've talked about, well, look, Nussmeier is going to get better. It all depends on the offensive line. The offensive line's good. Nussmeier's a year more experience. Another year under Joe Sloan. He's running this offense. He should have a solid running game with Caden Durham. Like, yeah, that's all great. But, like, he should have a lot more deep threats. I think that's something that we're not talking about enough. Because, look, Nick Anderson at 6'5", great. Trey'Dez Green, Bauer Sharp. You did a really good job bringing in Bauer Sharp, trying to replace Mason Taylor, who was the most productive tight end you've ever had in school history. Now, you're not going to replace him with one guy, but Bauer Sharp, Donovan Green, J.D. LaFleur, you bring in all 3 of those guys, pair them with an athletic freak in Trey'Dez Green, you're good at every level. The question mark for me, not Chris Hilton, because we saw what he could be when he was fully healthy. What kind of speed do you have? What kind of deep threats do you have outside of a guy like Chris Hilton? You got options this year. Berrien Brown was really good at that at Kentucky. Again, Xavier Thomas, Aaron Anderson, Jelani Watkins. I'm not saying all of these guys are going to make an impact, because look, Jelani Watkins still pretty undersized, but the track speed's there. Can it translate to the football field? We know about all the other speed you have as well. So, look, one thing I think we can pretty much book going into the season, you're going to have a lot more options as far as deep threats down the field outside of Chris Hilton, when last year you kind of struggled to find that all year long. All right, look, that's going to wrap it up for hour number 1. Coming up in hour number 2, CBS Sports put out their preseason MVP for each top 25 school in college football. Interesting name for LSU on this list. We'll break all that down. I want to talk about a guy who I think could be the steal of the entire first round of the NFL draft. Not necessarily a guy the Saints are after, but should they be? We'll have Sharief Ishaq at 2:30, and then we'll close this thing out with Take It or Leave It. All right, we got another 60 minutes coming up on the other side. Stay tuned. We're still going to be football heavy. That's coming up on the other side. One more hour left with you here on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com. David Duvall and his team, 30 years, redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. There are a lot of people who are not over the moon with their current home. Well, you can improve where you live. One Bath and Closets is happy to help you do that. Brand new customized closet, brand new bathroom, soup to nuts. They do the entire thing for you. You don't have to call 3 different contractors to get this entire thing done. No, you make one call to One Bath and Closets. They handle the entirety of it. Maybe you're not looking for something that extensive. Maybe you're looking for something like a tub to shower conversion. They can do that as well. You don't reuse that tub. They can take it out, put a glass walk-in shower in, changes the look of your bathroom, changes the functionality of your bathroom, adds value to your home. So if down the road you're looking to move on, that's an asset that you've got right there under your roof. We're worried about paying for it. Financing options are very much available for the folks over at One Bath and Closets. It starts with a free consultation, a questionnaire, and then a plan. They get it done and they do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. It's One Bath and Closets. You can check them out online at onebathandclosets.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
I'm Christine Lisi. Big news for the Bucks, who trail their first-round NBA playoff series 1-0 to the Pacers after missing the last 15 games with a blood clot in his right calf. Point guard Damian Lillard is expected to play in Game 2 tonight. First Take host, Stephen A. Smith.
This series is now special, ladies and gentlemen. It's can't miss television. Dame against Halliburton and those brothers, because Indiana can ball. And they're going to bring it. They ain't scared of nobody, but neither is Dame. I can't wait.
ESPN's Shams Charania is reporting Celtics forward Jason Tatum day-to-day with a bone bruise in his right wrist, uncertain tomorrow against the Magic. NHL injured Devils defenseman Luke Hughes and Brendan Dillon won't play tonight in the first-round playoff series against the Hurricanes. 6 Eastern ESPN, New Jersey is down 1-0. Lou Lamoriello out as Islanders president and GM. The waiting game goes on for the Steelers for a decision from quarterback Aaron Rodgers, but regardless of what Rodgers does, Coach Mike Tomlin said today it won't impact the team's approach to this week's NFL draft. He also said they have no deadline for a Rodgers decision.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Canty. Coming up Wednesday, the Giants are fielding calls for the 3rd overall pick in the NFL draft, but I'll tell you why they'd be out of their minds for trading down. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in hour number 2, a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp sitting in for Hunt Palmer. Guys, I'm sorry I didn't do it. I don't know if Hunt actually does this, the intro hour number 2.
He doesn't.
Okay, cool. I nailed it then. You got it right. I'm just saying, every day, you're like, oh, he might be show prepping since he's filling in this week. No. Every day I go home for 20 minutes, I sit down and I practice my Hunt Palmer intro to make sure it's good for you guys. Obviously, that's a joke, but we're going to try it every day. And hopefully this will be perfected by the end of the week. Look, we were very LSU heavy in the last hour. I did lead with some New Orleans Saints, though. But right now, want to continue the conversation on LSU football. Look, they just wrapped up spring. The transfers portal is underway. But as Brian Kelly mentioned, doesn't look like there's going to be a ton of movement in the transfer portal, barring something unforeseen. But what I do want to mention, CBS Sports put this out yesterday. They put out the most valuable player for every top 25 college football team entering 2025. They have Texas at the top. No surprise, it's going to be Arch Manning. Look, I have been very critical on what I have thought about Arch Manning's and the hype around him. I think he has a chance to be good. I think he will be good, but the hype is a little ridiculous. This is a guy who's 19 years old. He has never been a full-time starter at the college level. We don't know what it's going to look like. I think Arch has all the tools. Obviously, we know the pedigree that comes with being a Manning. But Matthew Golden, Isaiah Bond, Gunnar Helm, all gone from last year. Not only are you breaking in a new quarterback, somebody else is going to have to step up in that receiver room for Texas. Now, they got solid pieces, but we got to see somebody become the guy like Matthew Golden was down the stretch last year. At Georgia, it's wide receiver Noah Thomas. Miami, it's Carson Beck. Obviously, he transferred from Georgia. Ohio State, no surprise there. It's Jeremiah Smith. Nick Singleton for Penn State. Like, you get the idea, right? A lot of good teams. A lot of really good players being named as the potential MVP for the 2025 season. Jeremiah Love at Notre Dame makes a lot of sense. They're moving on from Riley Leonard. What is that Notre Dame running game going to look like? Dante Moore at Oregon. But for LSU, CBS Sports put Mansour Delane, the transfer cornerback from Virginia Tech. The write-up says, LSU's upside under Brian Kelly has been severely limited by a consistently subpar defense, one that especially struggles against the pass. So the Tigers loaded up on secondary talent via the transfer portal and high school recruiting in hopes of finally solving that issue. The gem of the entire group is Delane, a 6'1 corner with sticky coverage skills and great ball skills. He led the Hokies with 4 interceptions in 2024. Now, would I have picked him as my MVP for 2025 at LSU? No, because I think this team's going to be as good as Garrett Nussmeier and that offensive line allow them to be. I think I would go with that. But Mansour Delane was a big-time transfer portal addition. No question about it. The most proven DB in this secondary. Yes, Ashton Stam's entering his 3rd year, but you want to look at a guy that was a solid player, Mansour Delane. I mean, we actually just got off the phone last hour with Glenn West. Glenn West had a write-up on Mansour Delane. He mentions the same article that I'm referencing. Glenn's high on Mansour Delane. He was very solid at Virginia Tech. You heard that he led the team in interceptions. It was more than just that. Here's what he did last year. 54 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, 4 interceptions. 6 interceptions in his career, 146 tackles over a 3-year stretch, including 8 tackles for a loss. He was really good at coming up, making tackles at the line of scrimmage. What we had heard about Mansour Delane coming into LSU when they got him out of the transfer portal, this is a guy that's a really good cornerback. However, there were some people that said, hey, maybe we could see him make that move to safety. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to start at cornerback on this defense. But it was said that he could potentially play anywhere in this secondary. That's the thing I love the most about Mansour Delane. Sure, he's got experience in the Power 4, and he's been a productive player in college. I get all that. Again, I think he will start at corner on this defense. Right now, if I had to bet, you asked me to put money on who I think is going to start for LSU, Mansour Delane on one side, Ashton Stamps on the other. That's probably where I'm going. As far as game 1 goes, just based off of experience. But what if, let's say Ashton Stamps does get that other spot? What if you're really happy with a DJ Pickett or Jakeem Jackson or a PJ Woodland or somebody along those lines? Could you move him to safety if you're not happy at safety? Look, we've talked about safety a lot in the spring, right? That was kind of the position to watch on defense. You bring in Tamarcus Cooley from the transfer portal. Outside of that, Deshaun Spears entering his 2nd year, who showed flashes last year, but at times looked like a freshman. Javian Toviano finally making the move full-time to safety for the first time in his LSU career. He's played a little bit of safety. He's played a little bit of corner. He's played a little bit of that nickel. He can finally focus on one spot. A lot of people forget you do return Jordan Gilbert. Gilbert started for you last year a number of games. Got hurt a little bit down the stretch. Has been out pretty much all of spring, but he's working his way back. He'll be in the mix in fall camp. Again, he's a guy that started a lot of games for you a year ago. But what if it works out at safety? What if Tamarcus Cooley is the player you thought he was when you went and got him in the portal? He's got one spot locked up. Spears, Gilbert, Toviano, they're all battling for that other spot. Makes each of them better. You have 2 really solid safeties at that point. Harold Perkins is expected to play that star role. What if it doesn't work out? What if Harold Perkins is not fully healthy for whatever reason? Could you put a guy like Mansour Delane in that star role? Because right now, you don't have a solidified number 2 in that spot. I think Perkins is going to work out at star, but let's say he's fully healthy and it just doesn't work out. That's not his spot. Could the versatility of a guy like Mansour Delane help fill that? So look, whether he's at corner, whether he's at safety, whether he's at star, I think Mansour Delane is going to start on this defense, and I think he's going to make an impact on this defense. Look at the guys you brought in. DJ Pickett's a freshman. PJ Woodland's back, played a little bit last year as a freshman, showed some promise. Ashton Stam's entering his 3rd year in this program. I think he has a potential to have a really good year. You bring in Jakeem Jackson. who is a talented player who signed at Florida under Corey Raymond. He follows Raymond to LSU, but he's been injured at Florida. He hasn't played a ton. The guy that you brought in that had the combination of size, speed, experience, on-field production was Mansour Delane. And I think he was one of the most important portal adds you had. Everyone wants to talk about the edge rushers, and rightfully so. Okay, like Gabriel Relaford showed promise last year. You bring in Jack Pyburn, Jamari Butler, Patrick Payton. All four of those guys, I think that could potentially be one of the most talented rooms, not just on your defense, but on your entire team. But I think Mansour Delane maybe was the biggest transfer portal addition on your defense because of the versatility I mentioned. Because, look, Stamps took a big step forward in year 2. Can he do it again? Pickett's as talented as anybody out there. He's a freshman. I just mentioned the injury history of Jakeem Jackson. PJ Woodland, he was a freshman last year. He's still a young player. You had to go get secondary pieces. You got Tamarcus Cooley, who I think is going to be big for you. But Mansour Delane, he is going to start on this team. I think he is going to make plays on this defense. I think this is a big year potentially for that LSU defense. When Blake Baker was hired, everyone went back and looked at what he did at Missouri. Missouri had an awful defense. He made them respectable in his first year. And then by year 2, they were a top 30 defense. Can he do that here? He already did part 1 last year. LSU's defense wasn't great, but it was respectable. It was a whole heck of a lot better than it was under Matt House the 2 years previous. Can he help that defense make that similar jump? Bring in a new D-line coach in Kyle Williams, but look, replacing Bo Davis, no easy task. By all accounts, everyone's excited about Kyle Williams. You did a great job on your edge rushers. Might be the strength of your defense. I think you're going to be solid at linebacker. I think your corner, you're deep there. All of a sudden. Past couple years, you hadn't had any bodies. Now you're kind of deep. Say Delane stays at corner. Mansour Delane, Ashton Stamps, DJ Pickett, Jakeem Jackson, PJ Woodland. It's 5 guys right there. And then it's safety. If you can grab a spot next to a Tamarcus Cooley, who takes over that role, I think this defense has a chance to be really good. And again, I don't think any addition was more important than Virginia Tech transfer Mansour Delane. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, I'm going to tell you about the possible steal in the first round of the NFL draft. We're breaking that down next here on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. They're the only Genesis, fully exclusive Genesis dealer in the state of Louisiana, and they're right here in Baton Rouge. I told y'all earlier this week, we were driving, my wife goes, oh, that's that car I really like. It's the Genesis. And she had no idea that I even do this. I was like, yeah, they're really nice. They're really, really nice. And you should know it too. You don't see a ton of Genesis on the road because it's fairly new to our city here. They've only been at that location for a year and a half, but go check it out. It's a luxury vehicle. It's a luxury experience to be a Genesis driver. That means 3 years of complimentary maintenance, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. It's a luxury experience at a reasonable price over at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every single car that's on the lot at Genesis of Baton Rouge is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. And all of them, every single model, from the entry level to the highest end, come with the same safety features. Safety is a priority for Genesis. Go check them out. Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. That's Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
You work hard every day to pursue a life you love. You put in the time, and it shows. You're forging ahead, chasing a dream, creating something better for the ones you love. You're building your own life, so why not build your own tractor? With John Deere tractors and attachments for almost any need, the Sunshine team can help you do just that. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Welcome back in. Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. I got about 45 minutes left with you here in our work day. Cassie over there stalking my Instagram from way back in the day. I told her to find one video. Okay, we're going through my entire catalog.
You told me to dig through your Instagram to look for this. So of course I was going to see all the old pictures.
Ask for the entire catalog. What's the worst picture?
I don't know. You got some good ones in here.
They're not okay. You have to admit this. They are not nearly as cringy as some other people's old Instagrams.
Fair. Okay.
All right. Look, you can go ahead. Pull it up. Pull up the worst picture. We will show it to the YouTube audience. What do we got?
Hold up. Let me pull it over.
What do we got?
Like this one. It's a good face.
I know exactly. All right, get it away. I know exactly where that was. That was at City Park in New Orleans for like the Christmas light thing. That's exactly where that was. Look, if that's the worst one, I'm good. Okay, it's not that big of a deal. What we are going to show you later, Cassie mentioned that the Ice Bucket Challenge is back. I have figured out why. So when we get into Take It or Leave It, we're going to talk about why. I have the original video of me doing the Ice Bucket Challenge. No sound for some reason, but I do have it all the way back in 2014. So we'll play that. I'm sure everybody can have a good laugh at my expense. It'll be just like it's the morning show, okay? Everybody will have a nice time. Okay. Moving on to something far less cringe. The first round of the NFL draft coming up on Thursday night. And somebody I want to mention who I think has a chance to be the steal of the entire NFL draft. And it's Nick Emmanwori, the safety out of South Carolina. Would I like the Saints to take him at 9? But, I mean, he's that good. I think he's a guy that can play anywhere for you. A lot of people have talked about Malachi Starks coming out of the University of Georgia. I get it. He's a defensive player under Kirby Smart in college where they won a lot of games. I understand that. Lately, Emmanwori has been mocked over Malachi Starks. However, there are some people that still disagree. They're going with Malachi Starks. I don't think there is any question which safety should be the first one drafted. Saints are in the market for a safety. Look, I respect Kirby Smart and the players he puts in the league. And Starks had a good career. I mean, look, when you look at what Malachi Starks did in college, 197 tackles, 6 tackles for a loss, 6 interceptions. That's over a 3-year span. I mean, he's 6'1". He's hovering around 200 pounds, 195. But Nick Emmanwori, 244 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss, 6 interceptions in his 3 years at South Carolina. And when you look at what he did at his combine, at his pro day, all of it, it really paints a picture of how athletic this guy is. Now, I'm never one to look too much into what they do at the NFL Combine or the Underwear Olympics, whatever you want to call it. But when you pair a really good combine, a really good pro day, all that sort of testing with on-field production, okay, then I'm on board. Nick Emmanwori came in at 6'4", 220 pounds, ran a 4.38 in the 40-yard dash with a 43-inch vertical jump and 11.6 broad jump. According to ESPN, that makes him one of just 4 players 6'3" or taller to have topped those numbers. Bryce Ford Wheaton did it in 2023. Tariq Woolen did it, who's been really good with the Seattle Seahawks. And DK Metcalf, we know how athletic of a freak he is, did it back in 2019. That's the list. He's also the only safety since at least 2003 to have a sub 4.4, jump at least 40 inches, and jump at least 11 in the broad jump. So essentially, that makes Nick Emmanwori the most athletic safety to ever come into the NFL draft. Again, I'm not one of those that goes, oh, he had a great combine, you have to draft him in the first round. But when you look at what he did at the combine and then go back and look at the numbers, just this past season, I mentioned the 244 tackles over a 3-year span, which is really impressive. Just this past year, 88 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 4 interceptions, 2 of those returned for touchdowns. He averaged 26.8 yards per return on those 4 interceptions. LSU fans will remember him for a not-so-glamorous reason. Remember the interception Garrett Nussmeier threw against South Carolina? It was returned for a touchdown, would have iced the game, but there was an illegal blindside block on Garrett Nussmeier. It gave LSU an extra life. The blindside block was thrown by Nick Emmanwori. LSU fans may remember him, but I promise you, as mad as South Carolina fans were in that moment, they remember Nick Emmanwori fondly because he was a heck of a football player. 6'4", 220 pounds. You can do that. I think he's going to go in there and start immediately in anyone's secondary. But the thing about him is that size, you can kind of play him anywhere. Because when it comes with the Saints, when we're talking about secondary, you say, okay, well, Tyrann Mathieu has been a really good box safety. He's not getting any younger. You bring in Justin Reed, pretty good signing. He's not getting any younger either. And then on the outside, oh, your corners, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Alontae Taylor. Taylor's played a lot more in the slot. If you get a guy like Nick Emmanwori, though, you can play him in the slot if you need to move Taylor to the outside. If you don't feel good about Tyrann Mathieu or Justin Reed, or you want to move Mathieu or Reed into that nickel role, you can put him at safety. Heck, you can even play this guy at linebacker. I tell you what he reminds me of. Now, I think he's going to have a lot better NFL career. Remember Isaiah Simmons coming out of Clemson. He was a safety, the linebacker, the nickel, the edge rusher, whatever you wanted to call him. And teams were really excited about him because he could play everywhere you needed on a defense. I think Nick Emmanwori can do that as well. Now, I'm not saying he's going to come in and be an all-pro, but if you look at where he is mocked, any of these mock drafts, they have him from 16 all the way down to 31. So the back half of the first round. There's some people that have Malachi Starks as high as 12. I don't get it. Far too many times GMs try to be the smartest guy in the room and say, okay, well, you know, this guy here, it makes a lot more sense. It's a pick that we don't have to answer as many questions about. I think unquestionably Nick Emmanwori should be taken over Malachi Starks. I don't think there's a question about it. This is not a knock on Malachi Starks. I broke down the numbers for you on Starks. He had a really good year. He played on a Kirby Smart defense. At Georgia, he played in a lot of big-time games. He played well in those big-time games. They won a lot of games at Georgia. 6'1", 195. It's fine, but when you have a safety who put up the type of numbers Nick Emmanwori did, 6'4", 220 pounds, ran a 4.38, 43-inch vertical jump, you can play him anywhere. Can he be an outside linebacker for you if you need him? Sure. Can he be a nickel? Sure. I talked about the tackles for losses. He can play at the line of scrimmage. He can play as the box safety. At 4.38, he's fast enough to be the deep safety for you. And he had 4 interceptions last year, 2 of them returned for touchdowns. You know he has the ball skills. I'm not saying this is a guy that the Saints are seriously going to target at 9 overall. However, I wouldn't hate it objectively. What I will say is every year you go back and look, or at least I do, hey, who fell? Who was maybe overdrafted? Where should they have went? I think in 2 to 3 years, there's a chance we go back and say Nick Emmanwori at, 18 overall, 21 overall, wherever he goes, was the steal of that draft. This guy has a chance to be a big-time safety in the NFL for years to come. All right, we're going to take a timeout. When we get back, Sharief Ishaq is going to hop on with us with his normal 2:30 spot. A lot to get into with Sharief about the New Orleans Saints draft week here. NFL draft just 2 days away. We're going to break it all down with Sharief next here on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team color, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Welcome back in. Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp sitting in for a vacationing Hunt Palmer, who I think is either on the beach right now listening to a baseball podcast or on the golf course working on his swing. Either way, we are here hanging out with you for the next 30 minutes right now. I want to bring on Sharief Ishaq of WDSU. Sharief, how are you today?
I'm actually headed to the QPC, Louisiana myself to not go work on my golf swing.
Look at that. Look at that. You might run into Hunt Palmer. He said he's at the beach. I don't know if that's factual, so you'll have to let us know if Hunt is indeed there. I imagine Hunt is a lot more serious of a golfer than most people I know, so you might want to stay away from him out there on the course. All right, Sharief, let's dive right into it. There has been so much news that has came out as far as the New Orleans Saints, what their draft strategy could be for the early rounds here in 2025. Look, reports from Adam Schefter and others have said that the Saints could potentially try to trade back up either higher into round 2 or at the end of round 1 for a quarterback, and reportedly the one they are targeting is Jackson Dart. Let me kind of get your thoughts on that. Sharief, you there?
We'll have 2 picks next year. I'm here.
Okay, sorry, you cut out. Yeah, you cut out.
You know, I should have warned you about that going across the Greater New Orleans Bridge. It just always cuts out. All right, so as long as they don't give up the top 2 picks next year, because I think those are going to be golden tickets next year for them. I'm good with them doing it at the back half of the first round, or even moving up a few spots and problem becomes is they're the Browns and Giants. If they don't pick a quarterback in the first round, and if they do, it's going to be Sanders and probably Dart. So it's going to really become a difficult situation for them. So they're probably going to have to moving into the back end of the first round. But as long as they don't give up their first or second round pick next year, because those are probably going to be high value golden tickets for the team next year, because they're not going to be that good. So I mean, I'm fine with it. I mean, if it's Jackson Dart, I'm not really so sold on Tyler Shuck from Louisville.
Yeah.
I think they seem to like him a lot. It doesn't look like it's going to be Shedeur Sanders, because I'm just hearing that they're not in on Shedeur Sanders, even though I mocked him a million months. So Dart, they love Dart. That's fine, and I think they kind of do like Tyler Shuck from Louisville. So yeah, I'd be okay with it as long as you're not messing up your draft picks next year. You're not ruining your draft next year, because I think they're going to need those top 2 picks next year.
If that's the case, they do decide to trade back up, either back half of the first round, really early in the second. Where do you think they go at 9? Because it is obviously not Shedeur Sanders anymore.
You could just go ahead and throw the proverbial dart at the dartboard. They need every single position. Right? Every single position is a need at this point. Maybe they go best player available. The only thing that really does kind of bother me, they're going to do what they're used to doing, and going back into the well and drafting an offensive lineman. In my opinion, that's what I think that it's trending to, offensive lineman or defensive lineman. I think I wouldn't be bothered if they did the defensive lineman. If Mason Graham is there, the defensive tackle from Michigan, who's a 3-technique defensive tackle, I mean, he's there. You got to take him, because that guy was projected as a top 5 pick. He falls to 9. You can't miss on drafting a guy like that. Taking a quarterback, so take him. I'd be okay with Tyler Warren, because you do eventually need to have some kind of weapons on that offense when they get a quarterback. Eventually get a quarterback, and you have to have some young weapons. So, and he's a really good one at number 9. Some people might think it's a reach, but I think that's he's probably a 9 to 13 pick. So, I mean, I'd be okay with that. I mean, it's a little bit sexier than an offensive defensive lineman, but we're used to seeing they've drafted at least one of those 2 positions in the first or second round since 2015. And I think you'll probably maybe they just go a different direction. And if I know I'm kind of crazy saying that, maybe you should just do what they've always done and say, hey, they're going to draft one of those 2. But Tyler Warren would be good to me. I like Tyler Warren, but now you're starting to see like Michael Williams from Georgia being the odds-on favorites according to DraftKings, the edge rusher from Georgia. So I'm not so sold on him. So I don't know if I would go that direction. If Mason Graham was there, he'd be my pick.
Well, Sharief, you will be less than pleased to know that earlier in the show, I broke down a few mock drafts. CBS Sports had 2 different ones yesterday. A lot of other people have. And one of the favorites right now being mocked to the Saints at number 9 is Kelvin Banks, the left tackle out of Texas. So you're right. Typical offensive lineman in the first round. But look, let's say that they don't trade back up to get a QB. Let's say whoever they drafted 9 we're cool with, they stick at number 40 overall. How do you think this draft could fall for them? Like, what would be best case scenario for the Saints if they are unable to trade back up?
I'd be fine with that too. I mean, you're not once again, you're not mortgaging your future with your draft picks. You're just building your team outside of quarterback and hoping you hit on a quarterback in next year's draft. And you hate to say it, you hope that they have another bad season and they finish in the top 3 and they have a top 3 pick. There's no guarantee. Arch Manning isn't coming out. So no one can stop with Arch Manning. He's staying for 2 more years. He's just like his uncle. They're going to play this 2 years and finish as a senior at Texas. So that's probably going to have to stop unless something crazy happens and he does come out. But I don't see it. So that means, you're stuck hoping that you get a top 2 or 3 pick and it's, Nussmeier to go play with his dad, Doug Nussmeier. You have Garrett and Doug together, or Drew Aller from Penn State, or somebody else jumps off the map like we saw Jaden Daniels jump off the map and move up in his draft stock. But the way I see it is if they go, Mason Graham or Tyler Warren, and maybe in the second round they go offensive lineman, they go cornerback, receiver, because this team needs everything. And I think they could just continue building this team if they're not going to go quarterback. And this is a good draft because it's deep at quite a few important positions for them. So, getting a cornerback, getting a receiver, I think those are some very important positions they have to address in a big time way.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. As far as corner and receiver goes, everyone's talking about, hey, those are 2 big positions of need, and rightfully so. But look, if they take Warren at 9 and they trade back up, give away number 40, trade back up either higher in the second round to get Dart or late in the first round to get Jackson Dart, where does that leave them option-wise for corner and receiver? Because, at that point, you're waiting until the 3rd round to grab one of those.
Yeah, my guess would be you're giving up picks. Just say, hypothetically, they trade. I have to look at the board again. Whoever's number 30. So 31 Chiefs, 32 Eagles. Let's just say they go 30.
Yeah.
They move up 10 spots. All right, we'll go 10 spots, which is probably going to cost them the 40 and likely the 71 and probably the 6th-round pick if they don't give up a second next year, which is fine. Okay, they did that. That means they're going to have to wait until 93 to address one of their next positions. So, and to be fair, quarterback is the most important position.
Yeah.
But what makes me think that, they're not really sold on it is by having to do it by coming back into the first round. That's why. So, waiting until 93 to get, your next player, whether if it's, a receiver or a cornerback, you're going to be left with very limited options that late in the 3rd round. But, it is what it is, the price you pay for going back in to get a quarterback in the back half of the first round, once again, as long as you don't give up that 2nd-round pick next year. So I think I'd be okay with it. I'd be okay with it if they did it that way. And on top of that, you get a 5th year if it's Jackson Dart and they get him at the back end of the first round. So at least they get to, work with him this year and next year.
If the Saints somehow swing and miss, they can't get anything done, they don't take a QB, Derek Carr is not ready. Are they just rolling with Spencer Rattler this year?
Yeah, my guess is they roll with Spencer Rattler. I know everybody's like, what about Aaron Rodgers on a flyer? I don't think Aaron Rodgers is coming here.
Yeah, he wants to go somewhere where he can win. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't see that working for so many reasons here with the Saints on both ends. So yeah, I think they roll with Spencer Rattler. The key is here, Taylor, is to build this team in the draft the next 2 years. You don't mortgage any of your picks. You just build the team just like the Eagles have done, just like many other successful teams have done in recent years. Is build your team, get them younger to the draft, and then free up your cap space over the next couple of seasons, and then go from there. It's almost like a reset. It's not a hard reset, but it's kind of a soft reset for them, and you get it done that way. So if you can make 9 picks, you make the 9 picks, and you hope that you hit on 6 of them this year, and the next year you hope to hit on 5 or 6 again, and then it seems like you're looking like you're in good shape for the future. And then whenever you have cap space, boom, you sign in some guys, and you're looking pretty good.
Moving away from the 2025 NFL draft, you were just mentioning hitting on 5 or 6 picks in a draft. Saints did that back in 2017, and one of the few remaining members, Ryan Ramczyk, announced over the weekend that he's calling it a career. He's officially announcing his retirement. What are your thoughts on Ryan Ramczyk and his time in New Orleans?
No, he was good, man. Until he got hurt, he was really good. He was, an All-Pro. I mean, 18 to 20, he was solid at the right tackle position. I think he played in 101 games, started almost 90-plus games at that position. So I thought he was really good, man. I wish he would have never gotten hurt because you just never know with him. He could have probably been solidified that offensive line a couple more years if he didn't have the serious knee problem. So, yeah, man, I know he didn't play long, but, hey, it felt like he did something only Willie Roaf did and become a 3-time All-Pro at that one position. So, if you're in that company, who's the Pro Football Hall of Fame, that's pretty good company to be in. And I thought he was one of the best for the Saints in quite some time to play that position. So, a legend for sure. He's going to go down as a legend. I know it wasn't many years, but like whenever you play the way he did, whenever he was healthy, it's he solidifies himself as a legend in my eyes, and I'm sure many other people's eyes.
I imagine the Saints are going to wait and do this June 2nd to file all this paperwork to, at least maintain a little bit of that money, kind of help with the cap this year. Is that kind of what you're hearing?
Yeah, it's an as expected.
Yeah.
After post June 1st, I mean, it's kind of like where everyone has been thinking whenever it officially became announced that he was going to retire. We thought it was going to happen last year, but no, I mean, this year he finally did it. I mean, we saw him in the Dome during one of the games this year. I was like, man, Ryan Ramczyk, it doesn't even look like Ryan Ramczyk. He lost that weight. So, but yeah, I mean, that's not a surprise. I think that's what they're going to do.
Just one more for you, Sharief. Like you were talking about Ramczyk, Willie Roaf. Like, where do you think Ryan Ramczyk ranks like all time among Saints O linemen?
Let's see. Willie Roaf, Ryan. Let's see. I'm trying to think of some other big names.
I had Roaf and Evans ahead of him.
Yeah, I mean, Roaf and Jari are up there for sure, man. I mean, Jari and Willie are two of the best. Jari's knocking at the door to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and hopefully it happens for him one day. And I guess then you got to think about Teron Armstead, who was here for a long time, also another legend for the Saints. So, I mean, those two guys are neck and neck when you talk about Ryan and Teron. So, I mean, those are the only two guys I can think of. I mean, think of the Super Bowl team. I mean, you had Goody on the team, Goodwin, and then of course, I thought Jamon Bushrod was was pretty good as well. So he's up there, man. He's definitely top 4, top 5.
Sharief Ishaq, WDSU. Sharief, thanks so much for hopping on with us today.
You got it, buddy.
All right, that was Sharief Ishaq talking all things New Orleans Saints. All right, we're going to take a timeout. We'll have an extended edition of Take It or Leave It. That's coming up here on the other side on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Failure happens to us all. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the 2025 Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. The following local businesses have also pledged to match your donations throughout the month: Lewis Mechanical, Patient Plus, and Action Industries, as well as Subaru of Baton Rouge, Service Chevrolet, Luba, and Duplessis Pool Builders. Visit 1045ESPN.com to help us reach our goal, and together we can make dreams come true. And also, you can join us for our NFL Draft Party. You can celebrate it in style with the 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge Draft Party live from Don Juan's Cigar Bar and exclusively on the 1045 ESPN YouTube channel. Join us Thursday, April 24th at 7 p.m. and hang with the ESPN Baton Rouge team while indulging in the finest cigars paired with signature cocktails. It's the 1045 ESPN Draft Party, all happening at Don Juan's Cigar Bar and live on the 1045 ESPN YouTube channel.
Welcome back in. Final segment, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp sitting in for Hunt Palmer. Hunt out the entire week, but we are rocking and rolling here on the midday. All right, last segment of the show. Let's close this thing out like we do every day with some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
What we got, Mr. Beck?
All right, first one here. In a interesting turn of events, after Nico Iamaleava transferred from Tennessee to UCLA, now UCLA quarterback Joey Aguilar is transferring to Tennessee. Take it or leave it.
I was going to take it. I'm leaving this.
Just leave it alone.
I'm leaving it. Like, yes, did Tennessee need a quarterback? Sure. I mentioned this last week when I was filling in on OTB. There was no guarantee that Nico Iamaleava was going to be the starting quarterback because Joey Aguilar was coming in from Appalachian State. He had a pretty decent career there for the most part. Obviously, when you bring in a quarterback after spring, you're unhappy with your current situation. Look, the transfer portal. Also, Nico's younger brother, Madden Iamaleava, is leaving Arkansas. He's also following his brother to UCLA, which I don't understand because clearly Nico's going to be the starter. You're literally leaving Arkansas where, like, maybe you have a chance to compete. Going to UCLA, knowing you're going to be the backup. Look, you're switching Nico to Joey Aguilar. Like, let's make the transfer portal logo just an upside down pineapple at this point. Okay, I mean, you're swapping guys left and right. That's what this has come to. And now your younger brother is joining the older brother, and the quarterback that was at UCLA who didn't think he could beat out Nico Iamaleava is coming over to Tennessee. So Tennessee has him. A report came out that like they got him for like 7 figures less than what they wanted from Nico Iamaleava. So looks like maybe they came out on the winning side of that. We'll see how Joey Aguilar does. Tennessee also has George McIntyre, a highly recruited freshman. So we'll see who ultimately wins that battle. But the transfer portal is just getting a little ridiculous. Every day I see headlines in the transfer portal, and every day I'm like, huh. That's kind of where I'm at now, this day and age in college football.
All right, next one here. The Ice Bucket Challenge is back, apparently. Take it or leave it.
Leaving this one, too.
Leave it alone.
If you guys remember back in 2014, the Ice Bucket Challenge was brought up. I mean, it took the entire globe by storm. Celebrities were doing it. I mean, anybody you could think of, any sort of politician, athlete, singer, social media influencer, whatever it was. Cassie actually found a video of me. There's no audio on this, unfortunately, of me doing the Ice Bucket Challenge as a high school senior all the way back in 2014. My brother up on the roof of my parents' house dumping the bucket on me. That was about 10 years and about, I don't know, a lot of pounds ago. We're not going to get into the specifics, but this time it's brought back, and it's not even for ALS. This is apparently to raise awareness for mental health. Like, I'm all for raising awareness for mental health. That's totally fine with me. Can you find something else? Like, I'm sure they raised a lot of money for ALS. That's great. Great cause. Like, can you find something else to do? Like, you're bringing the same thing back. Like, it's for a good cause, but I'm leaving it. We need something else.
All right, next one. Owner and general manager Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys.
No, leave it.
Said after Tuesday's pre-draft news conference that they are working on pretty substantive trades, quote, regarding players, although he offered no specifics other than saying they are taking calls with teams. Jerry has a plan. Take it or leave it. You already said leave it?
Yeah, we're leaving it. Quickest I've ever left anything. The minute the words Jerry Jones came out of Beck's mouth, I'm like, I'm leaving this. He says what? We have a substantive plan?
Pretty substantive trades regarding players. They're working on them.
So he trade with substance.
Yeah, they're working.
What the hell does that even mean? Jerry just says stuff to sound smart. What does that even? It's like when he said they're going to be selectively aggressive in free agency. What does that mean? Being aggressive means you're going all in, but you're not going all in. You're going to be selective on when you go all in. So you're not like, Jerry just says stuff. He talks in circles more than any person I've ever seen. Like, everybody can complain about Mickey Loomis up there lying at press conferences, pulling up numbers, thinking people aren't going to fact check him. Luckily, I'm here on OTB to fact check Mickey Loomis. I enjoy doing it. But, like, at least you, like, can understand what Mickey Loomis is saying. Like, Jerry Jones is like, I'm going to say something. I'm going to use a bunch of big words that don't make any sense. I'm going to confuse people, so hopefully they won't know that I'm completely full of crap. No. You don't have a plan. You've never had a plan. Last offseason, you didn't sign anybody. Derrick Henry wanted to come and be a Dallas Cowboy. You said no. What do you do this offseason? Hey, Beck, how's this for selectively aggressive, okay? You got rid of Rico Dowdle, which I was all for, might I add. Who'd they replace him with? Clearly, it was an all-pros, an upgrade, right?
Yeah.
No, it was Javonte Williams, who Denver no longer wanted, who essentially had the same exact numbers last year as Rico Dowdle. Rico's numbers were actually a lot better, but yards per carry wise, it was about the same. Like, you fell out of favor to a younger back in Denver. That's why you're no longer there. Like, what? Does he think that, like, everyone in the media is an idiot? We talk about this with Mickey Loomis all the time, and, like, I explain to, like, Beck, Jordan, Musso, like, whoever I happen to be chatting with when they're like, oh, Taylor, you're a Cowboys fan. Like, Dallas Cowboys front office situation and New Orleans Saints front office situation ain't a whole lot different, y'all. Because Jerry Jones is not only the GM, but he's the owner, so he can't be fired. And then Mickey Loomis, I mean, he's been with that organization so long, it looks like they refuse to fire him. So essentially, you have a GM that is way past their prime, that seems to be making all the wrong moves, that is virtually untouchable. I mean, look, people can clown me for being a Cowboys fan all they want. That's fine. The situation right now in Dallas and the situation in New Orleans ain't a whole heck of a lot different. The only difference is Dallas knows who their quarterback's going to be because they extremely overpaid for him. The Saints, that's a little bit more up in the air. However, they overpaid for Derek Carr as well. So maybe you're not as dissimilar there as I originally thought.
All right, last one here real quick. We missed this yesterday.
That was like a 3-minute take it or leave it, by the way.
Yeah, it was pretty long. Mavericks GM Nico Harrison.
Oh, my God.
This was yesterday at a
one
season-ending
GM to
press
another
conference.
in Dallas.
He says he miscalculated the depth of love his club's fan had for Luka Doncic when they sent him in a trade, of course, to the Lakers for Anthony Davis. He said, quote, "I did know that Luka was important to the fan base, but I didn't know quite know it to what level. You believe him. Take it or leave it."
Yeah, I do. I will take it. I believe Nico Harrison because I think he's a moron. I think he genuinely did not know. This is a guy who's a top 5 player in the NBA who's only 25 years old. And you mean to tell me you didn't know the fan base was going to be mad when you traded him? What a moron.
The Hunt Palmer Show.